I want to ask you about the issue of transnational repression,
Yep.
and I'll start on the subject of India. A few weeks ago, a government official was asked about the allegations you made on behalf of the RCMP in 2024 about the government of India, agents of the government of India being tied to clandestine activities and violent crimes in Canada. That government official said, and I quote, "I think we can say we're confident that that activity is not continuing." Commissioner, is that true?
Well, I would say,
Justin Trudeau made serious allegations about foreign interference by India on the floor of Parliament. That led to the expulsion of Indian diplomats shortly thereafter. The Kogan inquiry acknowledged the efforts made by India to interfere in our democracy. Now we have a senior official telling reporters that everything is fine, followed by Mark Carney and Anita Anand saying they wouldn't have used those words. And now RCMP Commissioner Michael Duhaime says they have no evidence of anything. What is going on? Let's take a look.
I want to ask you about the issue of transnational repression,
Yep.
and I'll start on the subject of India. A few weeks ago, a government official was asked about the allegations you made on behalf of the RCMP in 2024 about the government of India, agents of the government of India being tied to clandestine activities and violent crimes in Canada. That government official said, and I quote, "I think we can say we're confident that that activity is not continuing." Commissioner, is that true?
well, what I quoted in 2024 was based on the criminal investigation that we had at the time. The government official who made that quote, I'm not quite sure who briefed him. What I'm saying is that that particular file at that time, yes, I did say you had agents or proxies from the government, but what we're seeing right now in transnational repression, it's kind of challenging sometimes to, I shouldn't say challenging. It doesn't always, the dots don't always connect to a foreign entity. Transnational repression sometimes, I think, benefit for the fact that they will use a source country to impose that threat or that pressure on a person. So again, I don't recall who said that, because I don't think I was in the country when that said, but I don't know how this person was briefed. Was it briefed by us or by the service? I'm not sure.
So what can you share with Canadians based on the information you have available to yourself and the force about whether or not there are still clandestine activities in this country or violent crimes linked to agents of the government of India?
Well, I would say any clandestine operations or transnational repression, regardless of the country, that we take it very seriously. We work closely with law enforcement from across the country to make sure that there's a coordinated approach, like we're doing with the hate crime that's going on. But it's important for people to report it. If it's not reported, there's little we can do, and I can appreciate sometimes that people are fearful to report it. But what I encourage people, if they see something, say something.
I appreciate all that, and I would in no way doubt that you're, if there is a problem that you're attacking it. My question, though, however, Commissioner, with great respect, was whether it still exists. You made very specific claims in October of 2024. We conducted an interview a number of months later when those individuals had been expelled from this country, and you said at the time the threat had significantly decreased as a result of that action. We now have Indian diplomats back in this country. How do you assess the threat to the public safety of, in particular, South Asian communities right now?
Well, I can assess the threat based on the criminal intelligence that we have, and the service has their role to assess the threat to Canadians as well. But what we're seeing right now in the numerous files, not numerous, but in the files that we have that involves transnational repression, we're not seeing any connection right now with any foreign entity. So, based on the criminal information, the investigation that we have presently.
So am I to interpret that? I just want to be clear,
Yep.
because you know that there's a lot of interest in this, that there is no threat to the public safety of Canadians vis-a-vis agents of the government of India, based on the intelligence and the information you have before yourself.
I'm saying that based on the totality of the files that we have when it comes to foreign interference or transnational repression, what we have in our holdings is we have people that are intimidating people, harassing people, but connecting the dots to a foreign entity, regardless of the country, we don't have that.
You do not have that.
Okay, so This sounds a lot like, I don't want to say that there is, so I'm not going to say that there is. All I'm going to say is that, well, we don't have any active investigations that are indicating that. And he said earlier, well, the trouble with transnational repression is, you know, the dots don't necessarily line up and head all the way back. Yes, but here's the thing, Mr. Commissioner. You have the RCMP supposedly conducting investigations. You have Mark Carney and the Liberals saying that our law enforcement is protecting our borders, is protecting our people. You have CSIS, whose job is to gather intelligence from would-be malicious actors, and they're supposed to share it with the RCMP. So you should have some idea what is going on when it comes to the government of India and what they're doing on Canadian soil. But you're refusing to answer the question. And what Vashi is trying to do for Canadians is to give them some sort of answer. Is it going on or is it not going on? And you won't say. And it's about to blow up in your face.
With the Bishnoi gang in particular, something the RCMP has spoken at length about, we know, based on reporting, but also based on what the government is saying, that there's still a lot of activity where extortion is concerned. If you look at Surrey, Brampton, Calgary in particular. I will ask the question in a different way, if you don't mind, because there is a Global News has reported on a memo circulated in January among the RCMP that explicitly links the Bishnoi gang to the government of India. Are you saying that that link is not present in your investigations?
So there's two things when we're talking about the Bishnoi gang. The Nijar case, in which it's before the court, so I'm not going to comment. But there have also been extortion files that have popped up over the last year that have links to that have linked or allegedly link to Bishnoi. The challenge sometimes that you have in this is some groups may use Bishnoi's name to advance their cause when it comes to extortion. So sometimes that's a little hard to untangle.
So do you have a more general assessment then of the degree to which the extortion that has seen a dramatic rise is linked to Bishnoi? Like, I take your point that sometimes it can appear that way, but we don't know for sure. So based on what you know for sure, how prevalent is the Bishnoi gang in these cases? So
I would say that not all extortion cases are linked directly to Bishnoi. I think you have people that are, as again, are benefiting from the fact they will use his name. There is, when you look at, you mentioned earlier, you look at the GTA area, the Peel region, OPP is involved in a couple extortion, Lower Mainland and Surrey area, as well as Alberta. We know there's connections, and there's cases that have been before the media that you can show the connection. So what we are doing right now is ensuring that the key leaders of those areas, we're talking together. We do also have a national coordination center for all the extortion, so make sure that we are able to connect the dots. So, but
But there are no dots connected with the government of India and Bishnoi in the cases you have before yourself.
Well, extortion, we got to be careful. Extortion is really, it's really in the criminality space, right? When we were dealing with the Nijar case was something else. The extortion portion is organized crime groups. That's what they're doing for the benefit of an organized crime group.
So he's trying to say that it's not connected to the government of India, and Vashi is, to her credit, is attacking this from all angles and trying to penetrate. And specifically brings up this Global News article that specifically talks about an RCMP report. And he's trying to say, well, not all extortion cases are connected to Bishnoi. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But there's a memo that has been out there that has linked the Bishnoi gang to the government of India. And he doesn't deny that. And he says, oh, well, there's a bunch of extortion cases going on. Oh, well, the thing about this is, there's some things to do with criminality, and the Nijar case was not. So what? Gee, I wonder why people don't trust the RCMP. Like, could there be something said for revealing too much in terms of an investigation? Sure. But the problem is the government's already blown this up. You already have a senior official that says, oh, nothing to see here. And then Anita and Mark Carney say, well, I wouldn't have used those words. And now the RCMP commissioner is trying to say, well, we don't have any evidence of anything. Let's go to the Global News article and see what they said. RCMP report says Bishnoi gang acting on behalf of Indian government. This is in January of this year. An Indian gang accused of extortion and murder for hire in Canada has been, quote unquote, acting on behalf of the Indian government, according to an RCMP document obtained by Global News. In a report on the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, the RCMP National Security Division mentioned the crime group's alleged ties to the government of India half a dozen times in just 3 pages. Quote, the Bishnoi crime group is a violent criminal organization with an active, continually expanding presence in several countries, including Canada, end quote, according to the report. Driven by greed rather than political or religious motives, the Bishnoi gang commits extortions, drug trafficking, money laundering, and contract killings, the RCMP notes. Quote, the Bishnoi crime group is known to use violence to further their criminal enterprise while allegedly acting on behalf of the Indian government, end quote, said the briefing marked, quote unquote, protected A. So this is from the RCMP's own documents. The RCMP seems to have a habit of saying one thing in public and then having memos that are obtained by access to information requests that actually say the complete opposite of what they're saying. And the government seems to be getting in a huff because Canadians are actually saying, well, we don't necessarily trust the leadership of the RCMP. And we've learned from whistleblowers. You can watch our interview on the RCMP whistleblower that we put out a couple of weeks ago. They have a problem with leadership as well. I wonder why. So the problem that Mark Carney has is that they're trying to basically ignore all of the problems that are going on with India, with their transnational repression. They're trying to ignore all the problems with China and their transnational repression. They're trying to ignore all their human rights issues. They're trying to ignore all the human rights issues with Qatar and just say, well, you know, we're signing some agreements with them because that's okay. The US is bad, but, you know, these other countries that actually have cases of human rights concerns that actually, you know, we have evidence in our own public inquiry that the Liberals' own government agencies did into this, that shows foreign interference from China, from India, from Russia, from other countries. We actually have that evidence. There is no evidence from the United States, but they want us all to believe that there's no problem. The issue is that there is a problem. And the RCMP's own documents, in multiple occasions, confirm that. The question that Canadians are asking is, why? This specific commissioner, why, whenever he is asked a straightforward question about what's going on, he never has a straightforward answer. He will never say yes or no. The only thing that he knows how to say is, well, you know, look over there. This is what happens when you have a police force that has leadership that is completely disconnected from the officers that are actually doing the investigations, that are completely disconnected from the actual victims of these crimes. For them to sit there and say that we have no evidence of any transnational repression of anything, I wonder what the Chinese diaspora community would have to say about that. I really wonder what they would have to say. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be, oh, yeah, that's right, Commissioner, nothing's going on here. And Duhaime wants to hide behind this BS trope of, well, we don't have any active investigations that show anything, so therefore, that's my answer. I'm sorry, but your answer isn't good enough. And it's about time that you and the other people in the Liberal government and the other appointees start realizing that you are accountable to the Canadian people. Because enough is enough.